Welcome. I'm Seema from Edufinite. In this video, I'll be comparing the verbals. How and where gerunds are used, how and where infinitives are used. I have divided the whole comparison between the gerunds and the infinitives into two parts so that you can understand them better. This video is the first part, and I will be discussing here the rules involved in using the gerunds and the infinitives as the object of the verb. I will help you to clear your concepts on the topic. Hope it's beneficial for you. If you have any queries, you can write to me in the comment section. In case you need to refer, the link to my other videos on the verbals are provided in the description box. Now let us delve into the topic. Well, we'll discuss about gerunds and infinitives. Gerunds and infinitives are verbals. That means they are verb forms, but their forms are very different, as we will see. Gerunds, how do they look like? It's jumping, breaking, saving, learning, seeing, doing. That means the base verb plus ing. So that's the form of the gerunds. Now the infinitives, how do they look like? To jump, to break, to save, to learn, to see, to do. That means it's to, and with that we have the base verb. So to plus the base verb is the form of the infinitives. Now, why are we confused about them? Well, but the main confusion lies in the fact that they both, what do? Can function like a noun. So we know verbals. What are verbals? Verbals are actually verb forms that do not function as verbs, and they function as something else. So here we see both gerunds and infinitives can function as a noun. Now that is, what is the meaning that they function like a noun? Well, it means that they will occupy the same position in a sentence that a noun normally would. And what is that? That is either as a subject, or as a direct object, or as a subjective complement, or as an object of preposition. So these are the positions of a noun. Now, if they occupy the same position and they have different forms, then what is the hindrance? Like, why are we confused? One thing we know, that they are verb forms, but they do not function like verbs. Then, now let's see how and where do we use them when they function as nouns, and why are we so confused about them? Well, over here in this video, I'll be only focusing of them being used as the object of the verb. So let's look deeper into it. Well, the rules of using gerunds and infinitives. Both gerunds and infinitives can be used after the main verb in a sentence, that is as an object. Okay, as an object of the verb. We have to note one point. The main verb determines whether a gerund or an infinitive should follow it. Why? Because as some main verbs take only gerunds, some take only infinitives, whereas others take both gerunds and infinitives. So where should we use what? Well, the first one. Some of the main verbs that are followed by gerunds only. So these main verbs, I have listed some of them, will be followed by gerunds only. That means the ing form of the verb. So let's look into them. So like acknowledge, admit, advise, avoid, anticipate, appreciate, consider, complete, delay, deny, detect, dislike, enjoy, and the rest of it. Well, now let's look into some of the sentences to understand them better. As I said, after these verbs, we can only use the gerund form. So if we use acknowledge, so the sentence is, she acknowledged receiving the parcel. So we can only use the gerund form over here. So it's ing. So we have to say she acknowledged receiving the parcel. That means she has received something, so she has acknowledged it. So she has acknowledged receiving the parcel. We cannot say she acknowledged to receive the parcel. That's absolutely wrong. Okay, the next one. One must avoid drinking before driving. So again, we have avoid. Avoid, as I have already told, is followed by gerunds only. So we can use only the gerund form of the verb after it. So we have to say one must avoid drinking before driving. We cannot say one must avoid to drink before driving. That is wrong. Well, the next one. Harry will practice swimming more regularly. We cannot say Harry will practice to swim more regularly. That's wrong. So we see that after these main verbs, we can only use the gerund form of the verbal. Well, the last one. I recall telling her the story. Again, the gerund form ing. We cannot say, I recall to tell her the story. We cannot use the infinitive form. This is wrong usage. Okay, now the next one. Some phrasal verbs or expressions that are followed by gerunds only. So let's look into the list. Accuse of, be against, can't help, can't stand, care for, give up, insist on, look after, plan on, take care of, it's no use or it's no good, it's worth, want, and wish. So these are some of the verbs, phrasal verbs or expressions which are followed by gerunds only and not by the infinitives. Next, for example, let's look into some of the sentences. He was accused of stealing from the canteen. So, accused of, we've taken that, and after that we cannot write to steal. That's the infinitive form, because we know the infinitive form is to plus the base form of the verb. We have to use the gerund form, that is the base form of the verb plus ing. So it's stealing and not to steal. Next, we can't help laughing. Again, can't help, then gerund, that means the ing form of the verb, base verb plus ing. So we can't help laughing. We cannot say we can't help to laugh. Next, do not give up studying at an early age. So this is an advice, and while giving the advice, we can never use the infinitive form. We can't say do not give up to study at an early age. That's absolutely wrong. Okay, next. It's no use regretting now. Suppose you've done something wrong and then you sit and regret, oh my God, why did I do it? So it's no use. It's no use regretting now. We cannot use the infinitive form. We can't say it's no use to regret now. Next. The next lot is some of the main verbs that are followed by infinitives only. So till now we were doing the main verbs that are followed by gerunds only. Now we come to the main verbs that take only infinitives after them as the object. So those verbs are like afford, agree, appear, arrange, beg, care, claim, consent, decide, demand, deserve, expect, fall, hesitate, etc. So I've just tried to give a list of verbs which are in common use. Now let's look into some of the examples. She could not afford to relax. So here we have to use the infinitive form, that means to plus the base form of the verb. So the sentence is she could not afford to relax. We cannot say she could not afford relaxing. Well, the next one. Would you care to apologize? So again, after care, it's the infinitive form to apologize, and it cannot be would you care apologizing? That's wrong. And the next one. We hope to go on a vacation next month. So to go, that's the infinitive form. We can't say we hope going on a vacation next month. That's wrong English. Next. they threatened to sue the tenants. So maybe they had some tiff with the tenants and the owners have threatened the tenants that they're going to sue them. So it's they threatened, infinitive form, so to sue the tenants. And it's not they threatened suing the tenants. Well, let's look into some other forms of the verbs where infinitives are used. So some phrasal verbs or expressions that are followed by infinitives only, like be about, make up one's mind, turn out, do one's best, set out, etc. Now let's look into some of the examples. He was about to order from the new restaurant. So there. Was about, after that we have to use the infinitive form, so to order, and not he was about ordering from the new restaurant. So that's wrong. The next one. We made up our mind to watch a movie in the multiplex. So maybe in the evening we decided, let's go and watch a movie. And we're not going to watch on the television, we're going to go to the multiplex and watch it over there. So we have to say we made up our mind to watch a movie in the multiplex. We cannot say we made up our mind watching a movie in the multiplex. That's wrong. We cannot use gerunds after these phrasal verbs or expressions. Next, they set out to clean the beach. So maybe they thought the beach was very dirty and they wanted to do some community service. So they all decided, let's go and clean up the beach. So it's they set out to clean the beach, and it's not they set out cleaning the beach. That's wrong. Okay. The next one is some main verbs or expressions that are followed by both gerunds and infinitives with no change in meaning. So these main verbs, they can take both gerunds as well as the infinitive form of the verb, and their meanings remain the same. You can use either of them, whichever you feel like. So those verbs are allow, begin, continue, intend, permit, prefer, start, try, remember, can't, bear, it needs, it requires, it wants, and likewise. So let's look into some of the examples. They were not allowed to eat in the park, or you can say as well, they were not allowed eating in the park. It means the same thing, that you cannot eat inside that park. Well, the next one. We continued to drive along the beach. So maybe we took a car and along the beach, there's a nice road and we are enjoying the view and driving along the beach. Or we can also say, we continued driving along the beach. Both are correct forms. You can use either of it. Next. Ben intended to complete the project by Monday. This is right, as well as Ben intended completing the project by Monday. So both the forms, infinitive as well as the gerund form, is absolutely right for these type of verbs. Next, they couldn't bear to hear her scream. So maybe she was in pain, she was screaming, and when some near and dear ones, you hear them scream, it becomes unbearable. So they couldn't bear to hear her scream, or it can be also, they couldn't bear hearing her scream. Well, the next one. We can say the car needs to be washed, or you can use a pronoun instead, it needs to be washed. That is correct, as well as the car needs washing, or it needs washing is correct as well. Well, let's look into the other sets. Some main verbs or expressions that are followed by both gerunds and infinitives with a slight change in meaning. The last set, what did we do? We saw that we could use both the gerunds and the infinitives after the main verbs, after those particular main verbs where the meaning does not change much. It remains more or less the same. But in these cases, we will see that there will be slight change in the meaning when we are using a gerund and when we are using an infinitive. So let's look into them. So these verbs are like hate, forget, like, love, prefer, regret, remember, go on, stop, mean, be afraid, I'm sorry. Now let's look into some of the examples. For example, he hates to wake up early on Sundays. And the other one is, with the gerund form is, he hates waking up late. Now, when we say he hates to wake up early on Sundays, that means it specifies that only on Sundays, when he's waking up early, he hates it. Rest of the week, it's fine for him. He can wake up early. But in the next sentence, when we say he hates waking up late or he hates waking up early, that means the whole act itself he does not like. Throughout, he just does not like it. So that's the difference in meaning. Well, let's look into the next sentence. He forgot to watch the match. And he forgot watching the match. Now, what's the difference between these two? He forgot to watch the match means that there was a match going on, maybe on the television. He was supposed to watch it and he forgot about it totally. But in the next sentence, when we say he forgot watching the match, then that means that he has watched the match, but he has forgotten about it. Somehow he does not remember. Maybe that match wasn't that interesting, or whatever be the reasons, he has forgotten about that match, that he had watched that match. He has forgotten about that. Well, the next. Sam stopped to smoke and Sam stopped smoking. So here when we say Sam stopped to smoke, that means maybe he was going on his car and he had an urge to, smoke. So he stopped his car, he looked for a parking lot, maybe he stopped it there and then he walked away and found a spot where he could smoke. So that is Sam stopped to smoke. That means he stopped himself, this vehicle or whatever be it, and then he went for a smoke. But when we say Sam stopped smoking, it means he quit smoking. So there lies the difference. Well, in the next sentence, I like to watch a movie in the movie hall. And I like watching movies. Here, I like to watch a movie. That means here we are, particularizing that when I want to watch a movie, I like going in a movie hall. And in the next sentence, when I say I like watching movies, that means I am telling about the movies as a whole. Like, I enjoy watching movies. The act of watching movies is quite pleasurable. I like it. It gives me happiness. Well, the next one. Sophia didn't mean to spend so much. To spend so much means over here, she did not intend to, splurge so much, or she did not want to spend so much of money. That's the main idea. Sophia didn't mean to spend so much. So it means Sophia did not intend to, splurge so much. And in the next sentence, buying a luxury item means spending more money. That means that's the consequence. If you buy a luxury item, it's obvious that you'll have to spend a lot of money. So that's the consequence that's trying to tell us. So that's all for today. Thank you for being there with me. If you like the content, to give a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Do subscribe to my channel and press the notification bell icon for future updates. Bye. Take care. See you in the next one.